What is up, everyone? Today, we are just gonna get ready together and chat. I hope you're getting ready too, or maybe it's the end of the night. I, to be honest, had a different video plan to do, and as I was looking at the plans, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with it. And when I really thought about what I felt like filming today, this is what I felt like filming. So we're just gonna be chatting about some topics, some things that are on my mind while we get ready together. I kind of shopped my stash here. I've got a couple of new things that were sent in PR a long time ago, but I was like, I should try. So we'll chat about that a little bit, but yeah, let's just chill together, okay? My cup matches my shirt. So I just put on the Lawless Forget the Filler lip plumping mask. You guys know I love this. I'll link anything I'm using down below. I'm also gonna throw on, I don't think I've ever tried this, the Pharmacy Honey Halo Ceramide Moisturizer. If you look at my skin up close, please don't. My skin is healing from the dermatitis I had here. It was a postpartum hormonal thing, and I got a prescription for Metro Gel. Anyway, point is, it's working and it is so much better. And so it is working, it's drying it all out, but it's just really dry. So I have a lot of dry skin. So anything I put there is just gonna look a little weird. So just know that, I don't know. But look how nice this looks. It's real ooh, it's thick. Now this might not be ideal underneath makeup, but I just really need some serious hydration. So we're just gonna do it. So one thing that's been on my mind, and I'm trying to remember, I can't remember if it was a book I read or I feel like it's a mixture of some books I've read recently and some video I watched. I feel like as adults, a lot of us don't have any hobbies. And as I think about one day, God willing, I get much older and I maybe retire in some form or another, what will I do with my time, right? And I know that my channel is unique in that I have a lot of very different age groups that watch me, which I think is so cool. And so I know some of you guys watching this are retired, and then some of you guys are closer to my age and some are just somewhere in between or younger, whatever. But it's something that's always been on my mind. And anytime I would think about retirement, I would kind of feel panicky. And not literally full on panicky, but it would just give me this feeling of unease. And I've never really been able to figure out why that was. And I think lately I've pinpointed what it is that makes me feel that way. And it's the fact that I'm like, what will I do with my time? Genuinely. And that stresses me out. Right now, my time other than work is spent with the kids. But in theory, when I'm older and retired, the kids would be probably moved out of the house, starting their own lives, and what will that leave me with? I know it's kind of a dark topic in a way, but I think it's important to talk about. And I feel like I'm at an age now where I could be really figuring out what those things are. I made a list. This was actually a few years ago. I made a list of things that I was interested in. What are my hobbies? So back when I was in high school, my big hobby was doing theater and singing and dancing, even though I wasn't that good at it. And when you're younger, it's easier because your life is play. And who was it? I think it was Raw Beauty Christie talking about that in a very recent video too, where when you're younger, no one's depending on you. But when you're grown, people, especially if you do have kids, are depending on you. So your viewpoint on so much changes. And so I think because of that, for me, I've just lost not that I've lost myself. I definitely feel especially this year, I've really felt like I found myself again and it feels so good, but it can be really hard. And I think a lot of people go into, let's say, parenthood and they never do, or you go into adulthood and you never refine your kind of true authentic self. So I'm currently reading Brene Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection. I think I said that right. It's my second Brene Brown book. I read Atlas of the Heart, hated it, absolutely hated it. But I was like, okay, but I liked her and I liked her style, but it was just that book I really didn't get a lot out of. It was basically just defining certain things. But this one, Gifts of Imperfection, I'm really enjoying. So, I'm kind of flying through it. I feel like it's kind of a shorter book. So if you're wanting to read a book that's kind of, you turn inward and think about the way you live your life, I think that's a good one. And she just talks a lot about vulnerability and being willing to be your authentic self and being vulnerable with people. We live in a world where we want to fit in, but the way to fit in is to conform. And then all of a sudden you've lost any of your own original sparkle because you wanted to fit in, but then you feel lonelier than ever because you're not even being yourself. And I think if you're someone like me that's a people pleaser, that can really ring true, because I will people please myself into oblivion. And that's something this year that I've been trying to be so much better about. And I think a lot of my like anxiety I would have about like social situations in the past was tied to that fact that I wanted to fit in. I wanted to please people. I didn't want to look stupid. So it's all wrapped up into like one ball of anxiety where I would not want to put myself in social situations where there was a chance of discomfort or being awkward, because I did want to people please, and that was just so deeply ingrained in who I am. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my age, but a lot of YouTubers that are ones I watch that are around my age, I feel like we're all, and so maybe it's everyone, maybe it's just this age, but I feel like there's something going on right now where like I am just so hyper aware that our time on earth is so short. And I don't know what it was recently that's just kind of hit me. I know we've obviously recently lost someone we cared about, but I don't know that that's necessarily what it was. I feel like I was feeling that before that even I know that I was feeling that. So maybe it is an age thing. Let me know. Like if you're much older than me, are you just now feeling that? Or do you remember feeling that in your 30s? Like you start to realize like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 30s. Like time is just flying by. Like what can I do to really soak all of this up and enjoy it? This looks actually really, even with my dry skin, this was the NARS. I wish it was NYX. It'd be a lot cheaper. Light reflecting foundation. I decluttered a lot of my foundations, but any that were here are still in my collection, and this is one. I wonder if I would have, no, I don't think I would have gotten rid of it anyway. This looks very nice. And I don't feel like that moisturizer's not pilling up or anything. And then I put on the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Glow type product underneath. This is looking nice. I'm getting so off topic. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm just talking about whatever, but this is dark. All right, we're going dark today. Because I feel like time is kind of flying by, I want to make sure I'm really enjoying my life and not just like part of my identity right now is that I'm a parent. Actually, that will be a part of my identity for the rest of my life. But it's not my only identity. And I think that's something that is easy to forget. Especially when you're in the thick of it with young kids, or especially like toddlers are even harder. I need to do something to my brows real fast. But my point is that I've been trying to be very conscious of still doing things for Jessica and things that Jessica would want to do. And I think it's just kind of a balance, but really thinking through like, well, then what is it that Jessica would want to do? If I had a free 2 hours, other than the obvious things that would be fun, like I'd love to just go shop at Target or, things that I genuinely do enjoy, but like hobbies beyond that, like what would I want to do that would be something fun that is not tied to making money or getting something out of it other than that pure enjoyment. And one thing I definitely feel like I'm interested in is something artistic. And I'm not an artistic person. I don't think that I have that kind of talent. What's interesting is there are people in my family that I do feel like actually are very talented when it comes to like drawing and stuff like that. But I'm really interested in like painting and watercolor and like all of those kinds of things that I feel like I never really was interested in when I was younger. So I find that even more interesting that now suddenly I'm kind of like, and maybe that's just it. It was like an unexplored part of me that I was so focused growing up on like the other things I liked doing, that those kinds of things I never really explored beyond just classic art class in middle school. You know what I mean? Which I loved. I guess my challenge for you is, no matter your age, think about something that you're even slightly interested in and maybe try it. Like maybe get the supplies for it if it's an art thing, or maybe you want to take a class, or maybe you're like, I've always wanted to be someone that goes on walks. That sounds silly, but that is the best thing you can do for your mental health. And I would swear that. It is the best thing you can do for your mental health. Okay, then maybe I need to get better walking shoes for that. Or maybe I already have all the gear, I just need to go and just do it. One thing I've thought a lot about, I like to run, but I had never called myself a runner because I was like, well, I mean, I've done a few half marathons in this, but like, I don't do it regularly. And, I don't do races regularly, that is. And so, I'm not a runner. But someone commented like a couple years ago and they said, Jessica, you always talk about running, but you say you're not a runner, but I don't know what your definition of a runner is, but I'm pretty sure you would fit it. And then when I thought about it, I was like, well, I do run, like, especially when the weather's decent, like a couple times a week. And like, I just kept thinking about it. I was like, I think I'm a runner. I've just never really, I know this might sound silly to some of you, but it's just something that never really crossed my mind that like, who is it that defines someone that, a walker or a runner or a artist an artist or a musician, I feel like a lot of us can put these like very stringent rules on and not, I don't even know what my point is in this, but that was just a realization. I'm just sharing all the realizations I've had in the past few years, okay? That's what this video is, I guess, all about. I didn't do concealer. I was wondering, like, why do I feel like it's looking a little weird? I was gonna try, I haven't tried before, the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Brightening Concealer. It's in a squeezy tube. It has SPF 25. I'm like very intrigued. It looks kind of like thicker. I might like it. I kind of like thicker concealers like that, so we'll see. I'm doing my makeup in like the weirdest order. I don't even know what. My mind is obviously thinking about other things. So anyway, I just feel like hobbies is something I want to be intentional about. And you know, the reality is, and I really want you to think about this, we are our habits, period. We are our habits. Like I'm always someone that's like, I wanna read the whole Bible, or I wanna do this, or I wanna read this many books this year. Well, if I don't actively try, I'm not gonna do it. Like, it sounds so simple because it kind of is. Like, we are our habits. If I make it a habit to go on a walk 4 times a week or every other day or every day, whatever, then that becomes a habit. But if we don't actively do that, then you're not gonna. I don't know. Like I said, there's gonna be no deep point to this video other than maybe a million little points, because I just feel like there's so much in my brain. I started journaling recently, and I talked about that in a vlog, kind of my thoughts on that. If you want to see it, I can link that vlog below. But it's really been good for me because I feel like all of these things that have been in my head, I'm finally like getting out on paper, and it really is cathartic to just get it out to a non-judgmental source called paper, that or whatever, if you journal, you know, digitally, whatever. Anyway, I just feel like the age I'm at, I'm kind of at a crossroads where I want to be intentional about how I'm spending my time. You know, leaving my phone behind in another room while I'm playing with the girls, because you know how it is. I could be playing with them a little bit or sitting on the floor with them, and then I'll like, oh, see a notification and pop up, and then I'm on Instagram for 5 minutes while they're playing around me, and I can't get that time back. I can't get that time back, and that will make me cry. Hold it together, Jessica. This is not gonna be a crying video. It's true. And so just removing that distraction completely. It's not that I can't check my phone like on the weekend or whatever. It's just that being intentional about when I am, you know? So yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. I would recommend it, I think, to anyone. I'm gonna tell Tyler he needs to read it, and I think he'll read it in like 2 nights. He's such a fast reader. He's been reading Les Mis though, and of course it's a really long book. And it's making me laugh because he has been reading it for 100 years. And he is so ready to be done with it because it's a good storyline. We're about to see the music. I mean, we both have seen the musical. We love the musical. But it's just one of those things that it's just so long. Oh my gosh. Anyway, this is a persona liner I do like. It's like waterproof, it says, but it blends really nicely if you like to do kind of what I do, where you just kind of smudge it a bit and then wing it out. It does it really well. And it stays in the waterline pretty well, but I do feel like it transfers a little bit, but not so much that I've reached for it a lot. I use this a lot, so it's still pretty good. It's just not the best, but it might be the best at smudging out the way I want. Like, you have enough time to do it. Do you know what I mean? Oof, we're gonna need some bronzer. I feel like I look very pale right now. Not there's anything wrong with that, but I definitely like a little more like bronze to the skin. So one thing, you know, as we talk about like hobbies and stuff, I feel like it's important to say, like, especially, you know, most of us, we're working. You don't have like all the time in the world to even do hobbies. So I feel like it's kind of a privileged thing to talk about, because a lot of people are working 2 jobs, like they're dealing with their kids all day, and you literally don't have time. But I guess my point here is to not lose sight of that. It doesn't have to be hobbies, but just to not lose sight of yourself as you go through adulthood. Like I said, whether you have kids or not, that doesn't matter. I think just as an adult, when you're working and your day is filled with things that are kind of outside of your own self that you have to do, to not lose sight of like, okay, can I find time to do something that I just enjoy just for me? You know what I mean? I'm not hustling. It's not for work. It's not for this, that, or the other. It's just for me. I think sometimes self-care can get a bad rap among certain people because they think, well, self-care is a little bit selfish. You know, why are you so, not people saying it to me, but just in general, I've read a lot of discourse on it. Like, people can feel that like, well, that's kind of a selfish message to push, like, take care of yourself first. For me, I think it's just a balance of making sure that I don't think most people need self-care every single moment of every day. Well, duh. But I guess my point is, I don't think there's anything wrong with making sure that you're also still taking care of yourself. I mean, you have to, if you're going to be a parent that's a good parent, you need to be at a certain threshold mentally and physically and spiritually to be able to do that, to be able to be a good parent or to be a good spouse or be a good friend. And if you're not taking care of yourself, at least in some way, then like there used to be a part of me that would feel so guilty if I would like go out on a run while someone was watching the kids. And it took me years, because it would be like with Genevieve. I would feel so guilty, like, is it okay if I go on a run? Like, I know that's not work and you're watching them so that I can work. But I finally realized, like, Jessica, this is something that's important to you that makes you feel so much better mentally and physically. It's okay that they're watching them while you do that. Like, that's you taking care of yourself so that when I'm back from the run and they leave and I've got the kids, I'm able to be a better version of myself. You know what I mean? So that guilt is finally gone, but it took me a long time to not feel guilty about that. I'm curious, comment below, like what are hobbies that maybe you're someone that you're listening to this and you're like, Jessica, I totally make time for hobbies. Tyler is someone that like, he will thrive in retirement. He does so many different things. He's interested in so many different things that I've just kind of felt like a lot of my hobbies were ones that were from my past that I'm not like, a hobby of mine is singing, but I don't know. I guess I could. I don't like spend time other than like, obviously like I'll sing in the car or the shower, but I don't just spend time singing the way that I used to back when I was literally going to school for it. And I kind of like had to, you know what I mean? This is the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water mascara. I've never tried this. I just opened it. It was like a little, I think I got it as like a free, well, maybe I paid for it. It was a long time ago, but it's just been sitting in here. I'm like, I want to try it. Some people like absolutely swear by this. It's supposedly, okay, it's getting everywhere. So if you have like longer lashes that you know, like it's literally getting all over the place. And I don't experience that very often with mascaras, but it did volumize really quickly. Like, I think that looks really nice. I took notes because all of this hobby stuff was in my mind during a bubble bath a few months ago. So I was literally just typing. I have tons of notes on this. Isn't that crazy? I would love to write a book one day, and this would be a chapter. In fact, it is a chapter, and I started planning my book. We'll see. Again, that would be a hobby. Like, I actually do like writing, but why don't I ever make time to do this, you know? Oh, okay. Another book. This was one of the books that inspired it. I totally forgot. There's a book called Drinking Games by Sarah Levy, not Sarah Levy as in like the sister of Dan Levy. And anyway, different. I had to look it up. And it was about how she was someone that really had a problem with addiction, and she just basically tells her story. And the most fascinating part of that book was someone she was like dating, it might even be the person she ended up with, but someone she went on a date with asked, what did you do for fun on Friday nights as a kid? Because she just shared with him that she was sober and blah, 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 and it was kind of hard to go on dates without having a drink, blah, blah, blah. And he asked her, well, what did you do for fun on Friday nights as a kid? And I don't even remember what her answer was, but that question really struck me because I was like, I think as you get to be an adult, and like I said, you're pushed into whether you go to college or not, you're pushed into the working world, you suddenly have all kinds of responsibility, and that's the way of things, right? I think because of that, we really quickly lose sight of just fun for fun's sake. I think that's kind of what they were getting at. Like, you know, as kids, we just so enjoy all kinds of stuff. And we literally, our whole life is based around like trying to have fun, like literally. And as adults, you've got other things pulling you in different directions. And like I said, I think that's just the way it is. But how can we squeeze in different times to just have fun for fun's sake? And like for me, you know, music has always been a big part of my life, but also like as a kid, playing outside was really big. And I wonder if there's a part of like, you know, I so enjoy going on walks and going to parks with the girls, and it puts me in such a good headspace. I wonder if part of it is because I do attribute that back to that simpler time. When I was a kid, I was outside all of the time. I'm sure a lot of us were. And that's something that, you know, we're in an era of video games and the internet and social media. I mean, I'm on social media and it's a big part of my life, right? I mean, it's like my job, literally, which is wild. I want to ensure that the kids, I mean, Genevieve has an iPad, but she doesn't use it every day. It's usually like maybe once a week, or if it's like a day that we're like really trying to get something done. But we always time her. We don't let her stay on it for long. And typically we'll be like, okay, you can have 20 minutes on, I have like an educational folder on the iPad, 20 minutes in there, and then you can have 15 minutes doing whatever else. Like if you want to watch PBS Kids videos, which those can be really good too. My point is we're trying to be really intentional while we have the control over them of how much time they're spending on things like that, because I do want them outside playing. I do want them getting the stuff that kids need. Kids need just unstructured play, just all of it. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent as usual. Another thing I wanted to bring up that was on my mind is I was like, okay, when I was thinking through like, what are my hobbies? What are things that bring me joy? 2 of them became a job. And I think when something that you're interested in, you start making money from, first of all, that is the most amazing thing in the world. I mean, come on. You're doing something you genuinely would do for fun, and now you're making money doing it. Like, that is the greatest blessing, like the coolest thing that could happen. But on the other side of it, you know, that almost takes that hobby you had and it sucks some of the joy out of it, because you're no longer doing it because you want to. You're doing it because you want to, but also because, like, especially if it becomes your job that you're dependent on, you have to do it. And so I do think that does take some of the sparkle out of it. I mean, that's why with my channel, I used to only do makeup, and now I add in vlogs and other things because those bring me joy too. And that's been my way of keeping the fun in the channel for me. And it is still fun. I mean, I think I do have hills and valleys, but I genuinely still have fun doing this. Like, this is fun to me to sit down and chat with you guys and put my makeup on. It's genuinely fun. Like, I look forward to it. But one thing I realized, I was gonna use a different mascara. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad I tried this. I like it. I think it was a little messy, and only because, like I said, I don't think if you didn't have, I used that lash serum. If I didn't use lash serum and my lashes were like their normal length, I think I would like it more because it wouldn't be sticking, but I just felt like it was a little messy, but it does look really pretty. So yeah, especially if you ever see it as a point perk, like on Sephora, I would snatch it up because I think this looks nice. I'm gonna try this again. Danessa Myricks, using a lot of her products. This is the like bronzer balm. I'm continuing to try to see how I feel about it. One thing, I'm reading my notes. I feel like once we hit adulthood, we begin to feel like, you know, our time. Why did I put it in the blush spot, Jessica? I was thinking it was blush. We're just gonna make it work. We're just gonna kind of drag it. Whoops. Doesn't look bad. Actually, it looks really nice. This is the BK Beauty 101 brush. These are just so freaking soft. This is an amazing foundation brush. Oh, baby, it's a good one. Anyway, well, now I feel like I should put it in the same area because that ended up looking nice. I do tend to like put my bronzer a little low, so I think this is maybe perfect for me to be forced to place it higher, you know? I think because we get used to in adulthood that our time is money, you know what I mean? Like, if we can spend time making money, why wouldn't we, you know? I think that's part of why, like, for me, it can be hard to spend time doing something I enjoy, because I'm like, well, if I have free time, I should either be spending it with my kids, of course, or like, can I do something that would be beneficial to, you know, making money? And so when I do something that's not making money, you know what I mean? Or at least towards my job, I feel like I'm wasting my time. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, but it's almost like you just have to retrain your brain to view like, this is a part of it. This is a part of your life that's important, that actually brings, you know, joy to your life. Anyway, this is looking nice. I feel like this is the way to do it with the brush. Maybe I'll try to blend it a bit with the sponge, but I feel like it looks really, gosh, this is looking very nice actually. So yeah, the Danessa Myricks Bronzer Balm. This is the shade Light 1 if you were curious. Well. Anyway, I hope none of what I'm saying, I know that I'm speaking from a place of privilege because I make my own schedule. I have help with the kids. There's a lot. Please know that I had dragged my feet on talking about any of this because I knew that subject might rub some people the wrong way. And I really hope it doesn't. I hope I'm getting across that we all need to prioritize making sure that we're still finding things in life to enjoy beyond just work. I guess that's it. And even beyond just your kids, because that is a huge part of my life and it will always be a part of my identity, but it is not my entire identity, because I know that when they move out and they're still a part of my lives, but I'm struggling with that empty nester, and I know that will be such a struggle for me, as it is for, I think, pretty much every parent ever. I know that if I have other things that are a part of my identity to lean on, it will help those kinds of transitions so much more. So I guess that's the point I'm trying to get across is, you know, don't forget about you, and don't forget to think about those kinds of things. And, you know, water and fertilize those kinds of things in your life, even if it's only for 20 minutes in a day, or once the kids are asleep, or maybe you wake up a little earlier because you want to start walking or painting or reading or doing a devotional and you can never find time to do it during the day, or journaling, whatever. I want to try, this might look weird with this shirt, maybe I shouldn't, but this is the Hard Candy Cheek Tint. It says you dot on, blend in, and it blooms out. Universally flattering blush. So I think it's just one of those ones that like shift to that shade of pink, you know? I was watching a cosmetic chemist on, because yeah, it's clear. And he was basically saying all of these pH balanced things all turn to the, oh geez, that's just dripping out. Turn to the same shade of pink. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like most of them use the same red 27 or whatever he said it was. And they all just change to the same shade of pink. So it's not actually, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a cosmetic chemist, but it was really interesting to hear his point of view. We'll just give it a try. It says, apply straight to cheeks and blend for a buildable flush. Use on top of your foundation for a youthful glow, or mix with foundation for a tonal liquid blush. All right, well, let's just try it. So I'm just gonna kind of dot it on and just kind of blend it. We'll give it a second to kind of work its magic, you know? By the way, I don't think I shared what eyeshadow I used. It was the Milani Gilded Mini. I used the one called Call Me Old Fashioned, and it was this shade here. It's a lot darker than I thought. And then I used in the Whiskey Business, interesting name, palette, I used, wait, did I use? I thought, yeah, I used this to kind of blend it out a bit. I need some of that like lighter color on my brow bone because I feel like the brow bone looks wonky and weird. Probably because of the mascara that, whoa, kept. Yeah, just clean it up a bit. I think the quality of these is nice. It's just Milani's shimmers in these, I'm just not a fan of. They're very thin and they're not super shimmery. Let me try this one. Okay, no, that looks better. It's just the shimmer in this one was not quite, but like this one here looks really nice. There's another one. Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. Wow. And then the Whiskey Business one is all matte, by the way. There's another one that's like a rosy tone one I have at home that I want to try because I think one of the shades in it might be close to a dupe for my Luscious shade that I love in the Too Faced Peach palette. Which, by the way, the Too Faced Peach palette I thought was being discontinued. They were all like on clearance on like every site. All of a sudden they're back to full price on like all of the sites. So I'm like, did our prayers work? I don't know. Or they were like all expiring. So they're like, we got to get them off all the shelves and I don't know. All right. So there it is with the blush and without. It definitely, you see a little flush. It's not much, but I could see like this could be really pretty if you were like, oh, okay, there's more on that one. Maybe that was it. Oh my. Especially if you like weren't wearing any foundation, you just wanted a little flush. I could see this being pretty just on bare skin or just on sunscreen. You know what I mean? Because it's nothing too crazy and like I put a lot on and it just blended right in. So it looks nice. It's just kind of greasy, so it's not going to be something, I don't think that's going to like stay forever, but it does look pretty and I don't feel like I need a highlighter with it. It just looks nice, you know? Here's another thing I wanted to talk about, and I forgot about this until I just read my little notes here. Perfect example of where you could possibly squeeze something in. Tyler and I, our typical night routine is we have dinner, usually with the kids. Nowadays, we've been able to have dinner with the kids. Some nights they're just like Genevieve last night, for example, had played with her cousins all day and was so tired. She was absolutely the most irrational and emotional I've ever seen her. And we were both like, she just needs to go to bed. So we literally got her ready for bed. She fell asleep. Point is, some nights are different, but generally our nights are, we have dinner and then we can put the kids to bed and then we'll sit with like tea or dessert or something and watch TV. Maybe we'll play a game together. And I enjoy all of that. But the thing is, that's like our every night. And that's a time that I just feel like TV, as much as I absolutely love it, has totally replaced hobbies for most of us. We don't need to have things to do because we got TV, baby. And I love it. And I have so many shows we watch and I totally enjoy it. And I'm not suggesting you throw that out the window. I'm just suggesting maybe one night a week, you pick a night that we say, okay, hey, once the kids are in bed, I'm gonna go paint. I don't know. Again, that's obviously in the forefront of my mind. I'm going to go do something for me. I'm going to do an adult coloring book because I also love that. And also, every time I say adult coloring book, it sounds dirty. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying. I feel like that would be an easy way to find that time that you're otherwise spending doing something enjoyable, watching TV. But I mean, one night a week to be able to continue to fertilize something that, especially later in your life when you maybe do have more time. Just saying. So that's on my mind too. I need to actually put that into practice. You know what I mean? And another point I want to make is I feel like in my mind, there's like a hierarchy of hobbies where it's like there's classic hobbies and that's what you're supposed to like, you know, maybe you like to make pottery or like I said, painting or whatever, but there's not. There's no definition for what a hobby is. So if your hobby is, like I said, coloring in a coloring book while watching Wheel of Fortune, hey man, that's a nice hobby. So I guess my point is, I always think a hobby has to be like one of those, like, you know, you see a long list of hobbies, it's got to fit in with those definitions. No, hobbies can be very specific and weird. If one of your hobbies is listening to an audiobook while sitting on your back porch swing, that's a hobby. That's something you're doing for yourself that you're getting nothing out of monetarily or anything. It's just for pure enjoyment. So this is really a note for me because I am someone that way overanalyzes and overcomplicates everything. And I guess my point here is a hobby can be whatever you want it to be, but just really thinking about what could those be for you. Okay, Jess. I'm gonna use the Sephora Nothing But Nude lip liner, one of my favorites. And I think I'm just gonna color the lips in with it because it's kind of a perfect match with this shirt and then put a gloss like on top. These are creamy enough though, they just feel like a lipstick, you know? So like I said earlier, let me know what are some hobbies that either you already have, maybe you're someone that like absolutely does it and you do it regularly, or one that you're interested in that you might think about because it might spur an idea for someone else, myself included. I can't wait to read these comments. And I would just be kind of curious because I feel like you kind of run out of ideas. Like when you're just sitting there thinking about hobbies, it can be kind of hard to be like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Gardening, I guess. Which that's a solid hobby, you know, but that's one I've never been highly interested in. Like Tyler's really interested in it. It's not one I've gotten into, like planting flowers and I enjoy that. Well, I say I enjoy it. Last time I tried to do it, it was actually a complete nightmare and I did not enjoy it, but this year I'm gonna enjoy it. I'll put on top the Dior Lip Maximizer product. I don't even see, it really does look like a lipstick, doesn't it? Speaking of hobbies, Tyler and I are obviously at the workspace today and we're gonna go on a walk. We brought Pinocchio with us, he's sleeping here. That'll be really nice. My hair is literally still wet. It was drying as I sat down and you can kind of see it's literally still just kind of wet. I feel like I talked a lot at you. I hope you either enjoyed this video or I just kept you company or maybe you actually got something out of it. I think that's pretty cool too. Like I said, I hope nothing I said was misconstrued. I'm aware of my privilege, like I said earlier, I am. And like, I hope the message I was trying to get out actually got out. Because like I said, I can over explain and I'll talk myself in circles. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for always coming along with me on my journey as I've grown a lot in the last 10 years on YouTube. And of course, I'd love to say hey to you over on my Instagram. It's Jessica Braun. So I love you guys. I hope you'll subscribe, stick around for more videos, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.